Changes to section 6.4 relate to terms of city financing and certain fees and definition of four terms associated with the financing provided to the city, to the developer, as described in the Second Amendment. And then changes to section 7.18 are requested to clarify the intended requirement and right to construct and use of detention basins on the city site. There was an ad hoc committee consisting of council members Castro and Groff who reviewed all the changes and recommended them to the city council this evening. Staff requests that you open the public hearing, accept public testimony, and close the public hearing, and then introduce the ordinance approving the Fourth Amendment to the development agreement. Staff, including Mr. Brown and our city attorney, are available if there are any questions. That concludes my presentation.
Are there any questions of staff at the moment? No? Yes, Councilmember Delgado.
Regarding section 6.4 and the interest rates, how is that set, and is the 3% the most per annum you can charge?
Thank you, Councilmember Delgado. So the changes to section 6.4 really related to consistency with the language between the development agreement and a private party finance agreement. The private party finance agreement defines a general partnership management fee as an eligible expense prior to net proceeds being developed. The interest rate for the city's 55-year loan is set at 3%. That will not change through the course of the project. It will not change through, because they've closed on their private financing, which has locked in interest rates as well. What this section really does is just provide consistency in the language and allows the city manager the authority to determine how the net proceeds are divided. So right now, the 55-year residual loan with a 3% interest rate, we get that out of residual receipts. Residual receipts occur after all private financial obligations have been met and all operational needs have been met, and then all revenue had been come in. In certain years, there may be operational or capital needs or private financing needs that need to come out of the residual receipts, which could kick the amount from 50 to maybe 45% that the city gets back. So this section allows for that flexibility while maintaining constantly a 3% interest rate.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Means.
Staying on that same point, City Manager Brown, so we have a loan for $3.89 million, just over, and if that's being replenished only through residual receipts, does the possibility exist that we will not collect the entire amount of the loan that we're making on this project, irrespective of the interest rate?
Thank you, Councilmember Means. So that is possible. So going back to sort of the premise for the project, originally this was not a 100% affordable project. It was completely privately financed. When the project was presented back to the city and sold to the developer to build what I'll call workforce housing there, there's a myriad of funding sources that go into it. One of the funding sources that helps support the project is a 55-year residual loan of some of the fees that would be due to the city at building permit, and those are stretched out over time. The original pro forma for the project showed capacity for the city to be rebuilt. Operationally on the ground in years 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, way beyond what I can see, it's possible that the city could not get its full $3.8 million. But as the pro forma indicated, it's probable that we will.
Okay. Thank you.
But it's very likely that we couldn't, under any number of scenarios that are unknown at this time. If there's a huge capital expense or some shortfall in revenue, then that amount would bounce forward.
And at that point, we are further subsidizing, or we are subsidizing the project then?
Correct. And for these types of projects that are built in communities, there generally is some sort of local match that goes into it. Although we didn't put hard dollars into the project, the $3.8 million in development fees that are being put into a loan does represent a subsidy for the city.
Thank you.
Sorry. We'll go ahead and we'll open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor, I have no speaker cards on this item.